Hello and welcome back to another video. Today here again on Forza Horizon 5 for my first attempt at building something with the new, race route starting point inside the stadium. So yeah, as we know, the last two updates, this one included, so Series 19 and 20, have both been pretty good. They've both had 4 new vehicles and made use of the evolving world, although only in one part of the map, which we haven't seen for a while. This series, of course, containing the new stadium. It also means we have a new starting point to build things in, which I think is actually the most exciting thing about this. All the new cars and the evolving world are great, but being able to build something inside the stadium is incredible. Yes, previously we were able to use the Estadio circuit, but it meant you had to start outside and build your way in. And then they added the Event Lab build stub the other side, but that had exactly the same problem. You still had to build your way in. The advantage to this one is it actually starts pretty much where my car is parked at the moment, meaning we can build some stuff in the stadium, which is what I want to have a first look at today. This, like I say, being the bit I'm probably actually most excited for in Series 20. So, if you've set up any races at the new Stadium Oval, which by the way is going to be a permanent route that we can use for races, although the bit in free roam will disappear. It's actually out here, almost outside of the stadium, but as you'll see when we start loading up a route, by going on create route and then picking the car we want to create it with, which I'm going to use the Lamborghini for, you'll see that it starts us actually inside the stadium. Okay, so 8 hours of build time later, and here we are with the completed route, obviously here in the new STO, to give you a quick tour of it. Now, I did do this over a couple of days, so yesterday I actually lost a few hours of work, because basically, sometimes when Forza saves it, or when I save it on here, when I come to load it up again, it just gets stuck infinitely in the loading screen until I kill the game. So sometimes routes become uneditable. I do save several versions as I'm going along so I can go back to a previous iteration so that I don't lose everything, but I did lose several hours work. And now that I've finished it, there were a few things I wanted to come back in and tweak. For example, I found the racing line in a few places made you want to cut here, so you just needed another bit of ground covering or something in a few places, so I can't go back and do that. And the other thing is, the intention was for it to have 3 layouts, the full layout that we're driving around now, but there was going to be some shorter layouts, for example, through there by taking these walls out. So the idea was it was a 3 layout track, so I can't go in and make those versions. So we're just stuck with the full version, unfortunately, but I will share this 10-lap version of it. There are a couple of checkpoints just to make sure you go the right route. In some places like there, I kind of wanted to put a wider bit of tarmac, because the racing line kind of makes you go on the grass. Same here, you'll tend to run off there. So a bit of runoff there, a bit of something there, either to stop you taking a wide entry or so that you can. I would have liked to go and change, but yeah. Event Lab is still slightly broken. I found this the last couple of routes I've tried making. I've ended up abandoning a couple of sky tracks I was trying to build at the top of the volcano, because after 5, 6, 7 hours work, it's decided not to load my most recent version of it. So yeah, Event Lab is still a bit broken, so although you can save things and come back, I think I'm going to have to revert to building everything in one session again. That's floating. That's annoying. Like I say, I can't edit it. Forza! So yes, I did look at the known issues, and this apparently isn't one. So, yeah. I just kind of... Please, Forza? There's just a few things I want to tweak. Like here, I'd like one more tarmac, because you tend to... If you exit that corner, you tend to just want to come out here to get the best exit onto the straight. So, yeah, although you can now save and come back to blueprints, I'm going to be stuck trying to do it in one session again, which means you have to have quite a block of time to be able to build anything interesting. I think my next build I will just build something using Forza's roads again, rather than trying to build my own creation, because these always seem to be the ones that I have trouble with. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's do more of a flying lap to show you how this kind of actually runs. So you've got your Monza-style first chicane, then you've got flat-out section, but as you can see here, you kind of want to be coming out wide for the next corner, so you cut across that bit. This bit you can kind of straight line, and again here, to get the best entry into this corner, you sort of end up coming out onto the grass. And as you see, you kind of tend to run wide here, so being able to come back and edit that to make it a bit wider would have been nice. This corner's okay, I think, although, yeah, it's a bit tight on the runoff here, but I think that's kind of good. You risk going into the, well, mud, but standing in as a gravel track. Then you've got an Ascari-style corner there, and a high-speed corner onto the final straight. Again, I'd have liked to extend that runoff a bit further. As we're here, I'm going to show you, we kind of overshot it a bit, but I have, of course, made a pit lane, as I try to on most tracks. So you come in here, then you've got a sort of slow down here. The reason I don't put it actually on the start-finish straight is because then, if you go into it, Forza will say you've missed a checkpoint, because the start-finish line counts as a checkpoint. So the pit lane kind of has to start after that and finish before the first checkpoint. One thing I kind of wish I had done is not made this the pit lane a full-width car park tile. That's what I'm using as the flooring here, because they snap together. Because the pit lane, then the sort of pit boxes and garages are all too far back. But yeah, that's how your pit lane works, and then obviously you exit here, coming out into this corner, which I'm not sure is a particularly safe exit. As we're not in a race or anything, I'm just going to turn around and go back in, because I've made, well, garages that you can go into, of course. Each one's a double, so there's, well, in theory, the final one is for safety cars and course cars. 7 of them, and then there's 6 double garages, because obviously Forza limits you to 12 cars in a race, so 6 double garages is 12 cars, which is enough. And then, yeah, you can go through the garages to the paddock, which is a feature I rather wanted to play around with for a while. I just like the idea of being able to go back here. So you've got all your trucks, and you've got the way out, basically. But yeah, there's a few little roads and things around here. And as you can see, a sort of campsite there. I would have sort of populated all of the fields with that if I'd come back. But as well as it not saving, I have actually reached prop limit here, so I cannot place a single more thing. But anyway, yeah, this goes out this way and over to the stands. If you were a spectator, you could come this way and go through to your grandstand. That's how I've set that up. But yes, there is also a bridge to exit from the infield, which I think is kind of cool. I mean, it's a bit steep because it's made out of car park ramps. And then when you come down here, that's where the exit would be, round to the left there. So there we go. I was also kind of tempted as a backdrop, so that it didn't look like we were in a stadium, to put some skyscrapers sort of behind these tall walls, so you couldn't tell you're in a stadium, but that would have used too much of my prop budget, which I am wondering if that's why it doesn't load sometimes, because the prop budget keeps getting adjusted and is slightly broken. But there you go. That is quite an in-depth tour of the track that I did manage to share. So yeah, let me know what you think. Hopefully this gives you an idea of the sort of thing you could create in the stadium. But yeah, I will potentially have a go with something else. It's kind of, it puts me off wanting to do it when you put the work in that sometimes doesn't save. So it might be a while before I do a big, complex build from scratch sort of project like this again. But I would like to build other things in the stadium if only it would save properly. But yeah, that probably is going to do it for today's video. Having a first attempt at building a track inside the stadium using the new oval starting line. It is great that we can now build a track starting in the oval, in the stadium, because having to kind of make your way in from a start point out there was just kind of unhelpful and ruined the flow of the circuit. And yeah, it's great to have a proper flat space that you can work with. The snappable floor pieces, of course, are very helpful, although they're kind of concrete rather than tarmac, so potentially have a little bit less grip. But yeah, you can build something like this pretty easily. This is an idea of how many props you can get in as well. If you use lots of the same piece, it's easier on the budget. But yeah, the only problem with Event Lab at the moment is, for me at least, it's not saving. So if you're having that problem as well, let me know, or if you're not, and let me know what you think of the route. And also feel free to share any codes of routes you've made inside the stadium if you've managed with more success than me, because there are a few things I'd like to tweak with this if it was working. But anyway, there we go. That is what I've made so far with the new start line. And that is going to be all for today's video, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back with the next video very soon.